Welcome to this analysis. Today, we're exploring a legacy that is just absolutely monumental, yet somehow it still gets overlooked in the history of modern industry. You know, when we think about the titans who literally laid down the foundations of modern India, one name really stands out as the ultimate architect, the guy who brought these colossal pie-in-the-sky dreams right down to earth. I'm talking about Sir Dorabji Tata. He was a total pioneer who completely transformed the landscape of a nation. But to really grasp his impact, we have to look at the massive shadow he stepped out of.
Okay, let's dive into this striking contrast. On one side, you've got his legendary father, Jamsetji Tata. Now, Jamsetji was the ultimate visionary, right? He had the sheer imagination to look at an early 20th century landscape and dream up a thoroughly modern, self-reliant nation. But here's the thing. A vision, no matter how grand it is just a dream until someone actually picks up the tools to build it. And that's exactly where his son, Dorabji Tata, comes in. If Jamsetji was the dreamer, Dorabji was the dedicated builder, the guy who rolled up his sleeves and actually executed those visions on the ground.
Section 1. Father's Three Big Dreams. So in 1904, Jamsetji passed away, and he left behind this profound legacy, sure, but also a tremendous hero's burden for Dorabji. Dorabji didn't just inherit wealth, he inherited these seemingly impossible expectations. I mean, just look at the sheer daunting scale of what his dad left on his to-do list. We're talking about early 20th century India here, where infrastructure was practically non-existent. Yet his three tasks were, number 1, establish an integrated steel plant, number 2, build a massive hydroelectric power plant, and number 3, create a world-class institution for scientific research. Honestly, any single one of these projects would be the defining achievement of a lifetime for a seasoned industrialist. And Dorabji was tasked with all three.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the pace of his execution is simply staggering. In 1904, this heavy mantle falls onto his shoulders. Fast forward to 1907, just 3 years later, and he's navigating the dense jungles and totally inaccessible terrains of Sakshi to establish TISCO, India's very first steel company. Then, in 1909, he establishes the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, which forever changed the trajectory of scientific research in the country. And he didn't stop there. He tackled the rugged hills of the Western Ghats to build a hydroelectric station, giving birth to Tata Power. Because of this relentless drive, Tata Steel ended up supplying massive amounts of crucial steel to the British during World War I. Actually, the British government was so impressed that in 1919, they officially renamed the city of Sakshi to Jamshedpur.
Section 2. The Ultimate Gamble of 1920.
So he had conquered the impossible. But you know, history has a funny way of testing its greatest builders. Just as these monumental projects were really finding their footing, the 1920s hit. And with it came a devastating global financial crisis. Tata Steel was pushed to the absolute brink of bankruptcy. I mean, the company had entirely run out of money to pay salaries. Hanging by a thread were the livelihoods of 50,000 workers, 50,000 families whose daily survival depended entirely on what Dorabji Tata decided to do next.
And this is where Dorabji transitions from just a great businessman into an absolute legend. To save the company and his people, he didn't just go hat in hand asking for a corporate bailout. No, he and his wife, Lady Meherbai Tata, risked literally everything they personally owned. They pledged their entire personal fortune to the Imperial Bank. And right at the center of this incredible pledge was Lady Meherbai's famed Jubilee Diamond, a gemstone that was literally twice the size of the legendary Koh-i-Noor. They put their own home, their own legendary jewels entirely on the line for their workers.
And this brilliantly illustrates his sheer dedication to his people. By pledging their personal wealth and that breathtaking diamond, they managed to secure a massive loan of 1 crore rupees from the Imperial Bank. To put that into perspective, for the 1920s, it's just a staggering amount of money. That singular, selfless act injected the vital lifeblood back into the company. It saved it from total collapse and completely secured the future of those 50,000 employees.
Section 3. Labor Welfare and Sports.
This legendary act of sacrifice brings us to a pretty profound realization. Sir Dorabji Tata was far more than just an industrial titan. He was a deeply committed humanist. He valued human beings way above pure profit, and that philosophy bled into every single aspect of how he ran his empire. Think about it. If you work in a modern office today, you probably enjoy a standard 8-hour workday, access to free medical aid, maternity leave, maybe a provident fund. We completely take these for granted as standard global labor rights now, but you actually have Sir Dorabji Tata to thank for pioneering these exact welfare measures in his companies long before they became the norm anywhere else in the world. He genuinely, truly cared for his people's well-being.
And his vision for human potential wasn't just limited to the factory floor either. Let's look at his passion for sports. This was a love he cultivated during his own early days. Remember, he went to England at age 16, studying at Cambridge and later St. Xavier's College in Bombay. He was a brilliant cricket, football, and tennis player, and even an expert horseman. He believed so deeply in the power of sports that he actually became the very first president of the Indian Olympic Association. And when it was time for India to finally step onto the world stage at the 1920 Antwerp Olympics and the 1924 Paris Olympics, in a move that honestly still shocks people today, Sir Dorabji Tata personally financed the entire Indian contingent straight out of his own pocket.
Section 4. An immortal legacy of philanthropy.
So we're looking at a man who literally built cities, saved tens of thousands from ruin, and put his nation on the global sporting map. But as we enter the final chapter of his life, we see the ultimate expression of his character. It's a chapter marked by profound personal loss, yet unimaginable generosity. Just before he passed away in Germany on June 3, 1932, Sir Dorabji Tata made one final sweeping gesture. He donated his entire remaining personal wealth, his shares, and yes, even his wife's jewelry, to the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. His beloved wife, Lady Meherbai, had tragically passed away from leukemia. So in her memory, he established the Lady Tata Memorial Trust to fund crucial cancer research, which later gave birth to the world-renowned Tata Memorial Hospital. He gave absolutely everything he had back to the people.
The ethics and values that the Tata Group is celebrated for globally today, that incredibly solid foundation, was built brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, by Sir Dorabji Tata. Which really leaves us with this final thought to reflect upon. We see modern CEOs and billionaires making headlines every single day. But looking back at the legacy of the Jubilee Diamond, the rescue of 50,000 workers, and the giving away of an entire fortune, could anyone in today's corporate world risk their entire personal fortune for the simple sake of their employees? It's a question that redefines the very meaning of true wealth, and for sure it is the immortal legacy of Sir Dorabji Tata. Thank you so much for joining me in this analysis. Keep questioning and keep learning.